Hello and welcome back to Something Z, and welcome to What If Naruto had the Seven Tails Part 2. Last time on the What If, Kakashi fought Zabuza, and at the end of the fight, Zabuza was killed by a random masked shinobi. And after the confrontation, Kakashi got knocked out because he overused his Sharingan. So now, let's jump back into the What If. When Kakashi woke up, he found himself in a new place, and when he tried to get up, some random woman pushed him back down and told him that everyone is okay, and that he is currently at the bridge builder's house, and that he will have to rest for a couple more days since his body lost a lot of energy during the fight. So we skip a couple days, and Kakashi is finally able to move with the help of crutches. So he takes Team 7 into the woods, and it's there that he tells them that today they will learn how to walk up vertical angles. When the Genin did it for the first time, Sasuke and Naruto had trouble doing it, but Sakura was able to walk up the tree without any problems. And the two continued to try to walk up the tree all day while Sakura went to the store with the bridge builder. But before she left, she gave Naruto some advice, which helped him out a bit. So we skipped to that night, and Sasuke and Naruto were able to get a decent grasp on walking on vertical angle, but they haven't completely mastered it. They also learned that night why Inari seemed so closed off. It was because his stepfather died to Gato, and since then he doesn't believe that heroes exist. And at the end of the story, Naruto gets motivated to get stronger, so he leaves the house to go train. He then trains that night to the point where he passes out, and when he wakes up he sees a beautiful woman standing in front of him, and the two have a talk about strength, and eventually the woman tells him that someone is only truly strong when they have something they want to protect. And after a couple of minutes, the woman says that she has to go, but before she leaves, she says that her name is Haku, and that she is a he. A couple minutes after Haku leaves, Sasuke shows up ready to train some more, and the two train until they are both able to walk up their trees, and they return that night right before dinner. But Naruto was so tired from training so hard for the past couple of days that the next day Team 7 let him rest while they go to the bridge to protect Tazuna while he is building the bridge. But after an hour of Team 7 protecting Tazuna, a sudden thick mist appears out of nowhere, and before the mist makes everything unseeable, they are able to see Zabuza walking alongside the masked shinobi that they saw killed him, walking towards them ready to fight. So we jump back to Naruto, and when he woke up, he tried to run to the bridge as quickly as he could. But before he got there, he ran back to the bridge builder's home, since on his way to the bridge, he saw cut marks leading back to the way he came, so he ran back. And by the time he got there, Inari was running at two thugs with weapons, with his mom held hostage behind him. So Naruto quickly ran in front of Inari, and he shot out some blinding powder into the closer of the two thugs' eyes. And with the second he just gave himself, he made a group of shadow clones, and they were able to defeat the thugs and save both Inari and his mom. Then when he made sure they wouldn't be able to get back up, he ran to the bridge. And when he got to the bridge, Naruto saw Kakashi fighting Zabuza, Sakura standing in front of the bridge builder, and Sasuke fighting the masked shinobi, surrounded by ice mirrors. And thinking that Kakashi can handle Zabuza, Naruto runs to the ice mirrors, and he tries to attack the mirrors from the outside. But when he realized that it wasn't working, he ran inside of the ice mirrors. And after a minute, the two Genin tried their best to dodge Haku's attacks and break the mirrors, but they weren't fast enough. And after some time, Naruto starts to pass out from overusing his chakra. And seeing this as a good opportunity, Haku tries to throw a needle at Naruto that would have been fatal. But before the needle hit Naruto, Sasuke got in front of him, and it hit him instead. And when the needle hit Sasuke, Naruto woke back up, and Naruto saw needles cover Sasuke. Then after a minute of Sasuke just standing there, he fell to the ground. And Naruto tried to shake Sasuke awake, but after 3 shakes, he could tell he wouldn't wake up, and he came to the conclusion that Sasuke is dead. And thinking that, Naruto only felt one thing, and that thing was rage. And with that rage, he was able to draw out some of the Seven Tails' chakra, and saying that he's doing it to avenge a friend, the Seven Tails allows him to take the chakra. So after what seems like 20 minutes of Naruto just standing there, standing at Sasuke's body, he gets surrounded by an orange chakra. But not only did the chakra seem to power him up, it made him change physically as well, with 2 small wings on his back starting to grow, and his shoulders started to sprout 2 spikes, and on his forehead sprouted a small horn like a beetle, and his eyes, instead of them turning red, they turned orange. And when he was sure he was done changing, Naruto, with the power of just his chakra, he was able to break the mirror Haku was in. And with adrenaline, Naruto was able to control his wings, and he flew at Haku as fast as he could. And when he got to him, Naruto punched Haku in the mask. Naruto punched the mask, launching him through one of his ice mirrors, thus breaking the other mirrors at once. And when Haku landed, Naruto flew at Haku at high speed, ready to deliver another punch. But before Naruto was able to punch the masked shinobi again, their mask fell off, revealing it to be Haku. And seeing this, Naruto stops his attack, and he turns back to his original self. And it's then the two talk about Zabuza and why he means the world to Haku. And at the end of the story, Haku asks if he's going to do what he started. Then Naruto grabbed a kunai from his bag. Then he went to stab Haku, but before the blade hit him, Haku blocked the blade. Then he says that he will not be able to die to him, and in a blink of an eye, Haku disappears. Seeing that Haku disappeared, Naruto tries to look for him, and eventually he finds him standing in between Kakashi and Zabuza, with Kakashi's hands through Haku's chest, and it was obvious to tell that he was dead. And when Haku's body hit the ground. The fight between Kakashi and Zabuza continued, with Kakashi eventually able to restrain Zabuza, and in the process he was able to break both of his arms. It's also around that time when Gato and a dozen of his goons walk up to the bridge. Gato then says that since he failed him so many times, Zabuza is now fired. Then he kicks Haku's dead body, which infuriates Naruto. Not because Gato kicked Haku, it was mostly because when you looked at Zabuza, he saw nothing. Then Naruto starts to shout at Zabuza, saying how much he meant to Haku, and eventually Zabuza starts to cry, and he asks Kakashi to give him a kunai, which Kakashi agrees to, and he puts it in Zabuza's mouth, and when Zabuza makes the kunai secured in his mouth, he runs head on at the group of thugs, and even when he gets stabbed or cut, he continues on, until he gets to Gato, and he stabs and slashes him multiple times, which just those would have killed him, but then Zabuza pushed him to the edge of the bridge, then Gato fell into the water below. And while all this was going on, the mist cleared since Zabuza's arms were broken, and Sakura knows Sasuke's body, and she and the bridge builder ran to him, and when Gato died, it was around that time where Sasuke woke back up, and shortly after Sasuke wakes up, the bridge starts to get flooded with people from the village, which scares away the rest of Gato's group that Zabuza didn't kill, and a bit after the thugs leave, Zabuza starts to die from the injuries he took, and when he was about to die, he asked Kakashi to bring him to Haku, which Kakashi agrees to, and shortly after he was placed next to Haku, he died. And since the person they were protecting the bridge ruler from was dead, the mission was a success. So after Sasuke gets his wounds healed up, they go back to the lead, and it's from this mission that Naruto comes up with his ninja way. So he skips it a day after Team 7 got back to the Hidden Leaf, and after Naruto was done doing his missions for the day, he went to train in the woods, and when he was alone, he went to the mindscape to talk to Chome about what happened to him when he was on the bridge. He then learns about what happens if he uses Chome's power, and that he can become even stronger if he used it to the fullest, and because of the incident, the seal on Naruto has weakened, so now he can harness more of Chome's power. He then trains to sprout his wings again, which he was able to do, but since it's the equivalent of growing a whole other limb, he has to learn how to move it effectively, sorta like a toddler needing to learn how to walk. And by the end of the day, Naruto is able to fly for about a couple of seconds, and he's not able to move more than a foot. So we skip a couple of days and the third Hokage got all the team leaders, and he told them about the upcoming exams. And he asked what Kakashi, Asuma, and Kurenai think about their getting, and if they believe they are strong enough to take the exams, which they believe their getting are strong enough to at least take the exams. Meanwhile, the same things were happening with Team 7, so Konohamaru was being held up by the collar by some foreign shinobi, and Naruto just tried to run at him to try and save him, but before he got there he tripped, and in the end, Konohamaru got saved by Sasuke. But before a full-on fight breaks out, another foreign shinobi appears, and he says he's sorry for his teammates' actions. And after a bow, the two walk away. So he skips in the next morning, and Kakashi assembled Team 7. It's there that they learned about the Chunin exam, and Sasuke and Naruto were on board the moment they heard it. But Sakura, however, was hesitant to take the exams. But after some convincing, she decided to take the exam as well. Then the meeting ended, but right before they left, Kakashi told them that the test will begin in about a week, and to meet him the day before the exams, at the same place they are now. So let's just skip to the day of the exam, and Naruto by then only practices his ability to fly, so now he can fly freely for about 10 minutes straight, and after flying for that long he has to wait 2 hours before he can do it again. So Team 7 just got to where the exam should have taken place, but when they got there the hallway was full of examinees, wanting to be let in, and standing in the doorway was 2 shinobi not allowing anyone in, and after a minute of Team 7 waiting for something to happen, a fight was about to happen, between an examinee and one of the people in the doorway, but before it became anything, a guy with a bowl cut and a green jumpsuit stood in between the two, thus stopping the fight. Then the guy in the jumpsuit locks eyes with Sasuke. Then he challenges him to a fight. At first Sasuke declined the offer, so Naruto challenged the guy instead, which he accepted. So Team 7 and the guy walked to an arena, not that far away. And even with the help of his flight, Naruto was still easily defeated by Rock Lee. And seeing Naruto easily defeated, Sasuke agrees to fight Lee, but he was also easily defeated by Lee, even with the help of the Sharingan. But before Lee could do the final blow, a poof of smoke appeared out of nowhere, and in that smoke appears a turtle, which to Team 7's surprise makes Lee stop in his tracks. And when he lands on the ground, he runs to the turtle, and he says he's sorry. But just then, another poof of smoke appears on top of the turtle, and in that smoke appears a person that looks like a more grown-up version of Lee, who then in a matter of less than a minute, punches Lee for using a forbidden technique, then hugging and crying with him. Seeing this, Team 7 tried to leave, but before they could leave the room, the guy noticed them, and he asked how his rival's doing. It's then that they learn about Guy, and how he's supposedly physically stronger and faster than Kakashi. Then after they talk for a bit, the two leave. Then the three go to the exam hall. So we skip to the actual exam, and everything we skipped is the exact same as how it happened originally. So now all of the gang taking the exams went into a room filled with desks, and they were arranged in a way so now they can't sit with their teammates. And when everyone is sitting down, the main instructor gets out of his seat, and he stands in front of the room, and he tells everyone the rules of the exams. And when he's done explaining the rules, the examiners give all the examinees the test. And by the end of the test, Naruto wasn't able to get a single question. At one point, Hinata, who was sitting right next to him, allowed him to cheat off of her. But before he took a peek, Naruto stopped, because at that moment, someone behind the two got caught cheating, and he got scared, so he told her that he could do it on his own. So when it's time, the main examiner stands at the front of the room, and he tells everyone that there's actually a tense question. But before he says what the question is, he says that whoever fails this question will be permanently banned from taking the exams. And if one person gets it wrong, the whole team will fail. But there is a way out. If you don't want to take the question, you and your team will have to fail this exam, but you can return next year. And after around a minute, the people that wanted to leave left. And when the main examiner believes that they all left, he says that it's time for the final question. But instead of saying a question, he just says that they all passed. Since the question was, would they still try? Even if you fail once, you could fail forever. So now Team 7 has made it to the second phase of the exams. And this is where I'm going to leave the what if. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope to see you next time on Something Z.